Hello, welcome to Hancock-Wood Electric Cooperative, your local electric utility. Today we are going to do a high voltage presentation for your enjoyment. Today helping me is Jamie Cole, a first-class lineman here at our North Baltimore office, and Mark Maracus, another first-class lineman here at our North Baltimore office. We'll get started with some of the parts and pieces of our electric safety demonstration, and we'll go from there. Today we're going to see what we have for voltage on our high voltage demonstration unit. If Mark, you'll see what we have here. Our unit's energized. Today we have about 6,100 volts on that top wire. And then we'll talk a little bit about our electric utility system and what we have. The parts that we have on our electric utility system is a cutout with a solid blade in there. It's attached to an electrical transformer. Electrical transformers are windings that are copper windings around iron cores, and it's insulated by a median of oil. It's indiscriminated. You can feed secondary voltage in the secondary side, and it'll give you primary voltage on the primary side, or you can feed primary voltage in and get secondary voltage out. We have our poles and our guy wires to represent what we have in the utility business. We have an insulating bell. We have conductor. We have a oil circuit reclosure. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then we have another fused cutout, and on the bottom conductor is called a neutral. It's the return back to the source. Some of this other stuff that you'll see up here is we have grounding chains that we use for our safety, our protection. And then we also have a rubber hose, or a rubber gut is what we call it. The thing in Mark's hand is called a fiberglass stick that we use for switching or manipulating connectors and switches. So Mark has the other personal protective equipment that we wear out in the field, our hard hats, our safety glasses, the yellow sleeves or rubber sleeves to protect for upper arm and shoulder electricity contacts. He has his rubber gloves on, which are our primary personal protective piece of equipment. So we also have all of our arc flash rated clothing on. And then finally we have dielectric protective footwear that keeps us safe from step potentials if something were to happen. So let's talk a little bit about electricity. I would say that electricity is the single invention that made our modern world modern. We use it every day in many, many items. Is electricity magical? I don't know. It's probably a little more scientific, but it does have some anomalies that come with it. We use electricity in our homes to cool our food, to cook our food, to energize our devices, to light our homes, and to heat them. So is electricity safe? A lot of people think electricity is dangerous. It is actually a very safe invention as long as we're using it within the parameters that it was designed to be used in. So if we're plugging in a lamp and we plug it into the proper outlet and turn it on, it's a very safe invention. Now, if we try to stick something else in the electrical plug, then it becomes a whole different thing. It becomes a very dangerous animal. Same thing on our power system. If the electrical wires are up in the air or buried below in the ground where they're supposed to be and undisturbed, it's a very safe invention. But when things go wrong is when we get too close to it by sticking something up into that space, or if it comes tumbling down during storms. So we're gonna give you a little bit of a presentation of what some of the hazards are when electricity is not where it's supposed to be. So Mark's gonna help show us how our testers work. We use special testers in our line of work to indicate if the lines are energized or de-energized. We've all been doing this career for a very long time, and as you can see, we can't see electricity traveling down the conductors. So if he holds that up there to the energized line, the indicator light has a solid illumination, and then it also has a solid tone. If the line's de-energized, you'll see it has a blinking light and a beeping tone. And then if it comes on, it has a solid light and a solid tone, and then we know that that line is energized. So the last thing that we do after we indicate a line that we indicate it dead or de-energized, we take a ground chain and put it on the wire, and it makes a short circuit to ground, and if it was on, we're going to trip a device off somewhere. And that's how we know a line's safe for us to work on. One of our fiberglass insulating sticks that we use is called a shotgun. It has a hook on it that retracts and extends. We can manipulate hotline clamps and jumpers and some of our switches with that device. Primarily we use it to apply like our ground chains and to take jumpers off of lines. So Mark's drawn an electric arc flash. And if you look at that electric arc flash, you're going to see several different colors. There's some orange and yellow, some blue and some violet and some white. The hottest part of that electric arc flash is going to be that blue, white, and violet. And that's about somewhere in the neighborhood of about 35,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Now to put that in perspective, they estimate the surface of the sun at about 9,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is why in our industry we wear protective clothing that will protect us from some of that heat energy that's available when an arc flash occurs. I'd like to take this opportunity to refer you to another one of our videos on our website. It's about how to safely exit a vehicle in case you get in a vehicle accident and have down conductors on your vehicle. The last thing you want to do is step outside of your car while you're touching it in case the lines are energized, and that video will have further explanation. Why do we mention this? Because tires on your car truly are made out of rubber, but they're dirty rubber with a lot of carbon, and it's wrapped around a steel core, and so tires are fairly conductive, if you will, and we're going to show you what that looks like a little bit. Now that jumper is just wrapped around that tire. It's not hooked to it any other way by any other mechanical connection. So there's a lot of confusion if your shoes protect you from electricity or not, or if you're like a fireman or an EMS responder. They're really not rated to protect you from electrical contact. You could have a hole in the bottom of your shoe. You could have a flaw in the actual design of the shoe. So here we're showing you how a fire boot doesn't really protect you if you were to step on an electrical conductor. There's also theories out there that you can safely move conductors that are downed with a rope or something like that. And as you can see here, you can see a flash at the neutral and at the phase on that. That rope is actually conducting electricity. It's never safe to try to take a rope and move a conductor. So we understand that many of our members have trees that are in their yards that are near power lines, and that you're never a fan when we come out and trim trees, but we do it for electrical safety. As you can see, that branch conducts a little bit of electricity. It starts smoking and burning, and we need to keep those free from our conductors for public safety and for your reliability, the reliability of your electricity at your house and of your neighbors. We'll also show you on this, we're going to open the device in the middle, which is called an oil circuit reclosure. It has a contact in it, and the bushing on the left side is going to be energized and the bushing on the right side is de-energized. And Mark's going to show you how when that branch gets across the bushings, it'll actually energize the whole entire line. And that the lights come on, it carries all the voltage, it carries all the current of the line, and is not safe to have tree branches around your electrical system. So another thing is it's never safe to touch electricity or electrical stuff with a leather glove. Leather's not a great insulating medium. Still electricity will break it down pretty fast. So here we have an aluminum ladder, but think outside the box a little bit on this. Be careful when you're out in your yard or around your property messing around. That could be an aluminum ladder that you could stick up into an electrical wire. You can also imagine that for the farmers on our system, that could be your auger, your grain auger, so be cautious when you're moving that around. That could be you at your house if you're replacing your antenna or putting a new one up or tearing one down. They're all metallic substances, and around power lines, that is an easy way to have an accidental electrical contact. So we're going to use our helper here for a couple demonstration purposes. One, to show you how our personal protective equipment that we wear protects us out in the field. And then the other thing is to show you what an electrical contact would look like out in the system if something were to happen. Mark's going to show you how our personal protective rubber gloves work. There's actually a hot dog in the thumb, and he's going to take that and rubbing it all over the hard hat. Our hard hats are rated for electricity. And then just so you guys know that we have that on, Mark's going to show you what would happen if you got underneath the hard hat and touched the face. We're going to see if he's sad today or if he is looking like he's going to be happy. We got a happy face today. So Mark's going to show you so you know that there's a hot dog underneath that rubber glove, and we're going to show you what happens if you were to touch a downed conductor, what that would look like. Maybe Mark can get the backside of that hot dog too. Show you what that looks like. There we go. That's what would happen if you reached up there and grabbed that wire right now. So I'll take a second to talk to you about the effects of electrical current on the human body. The electrical current measured in amps is what actually does all the damage, and that's what actually does all the work in your house too. It doesn't take very much current to hurt the human body or harm the human body. There are several stages. First, you'll have the 1 to 5 milliampere range. So a milliampere is 1/1000th of an amp. So the 1 to 5 milliampere range is going to give you that sensation that you touch something electrical. When you get to that 5 to 10 milliampere range, it's going to be the ouch, that hurts. That has electricity going to it. Now when we start getting out of that range, you get into the 15 to 20 milliampere range, that's what's going to be called the let go effect. Your muscles are going to contract, so like in your hands, they contract, and no matter how hard you think that you want to open them up, the electrical current is actually going to keep it contracted. So let's talk about the 20 to 50 milliampere range. Is going to get really painful. Your muscles are contracted, your chest is going to start contract. You're going to start going into ventricular fibrillation, VFib, and you're going to start having a hard time breathing. After that, you start getting into your 50 to 100 milliampere range. It's going to start cooking you on the inside. It's going to start cooking your blood, your bones, your muscle. It travels your nervous system and starts making that all messed up. And then after that, then you're just getting severely cooked on the inside and outside from the thermal effects that we showed earlier on the outside, and then the thermal effects of the electricity actually traveling in your system. What we've seen here with our dummy is we have several amps of fault current or several amps of current going through his body. In your house, a 15 amp breaker is about the smallest breaker that you have, and it's not even going to operate if you get into something like this. Out on our systems, we have hundreds of amps available to travel through people. That's when people get really hurt and really burnt. It makes for a bad situation. Fun fact for you, there is one device that's made today that saves human life from electrocution, and everybody should have them in their house. It's going to be in your bathrooms or your kitchens or in your wet spaces outside. It's going to be a GFCI, or a ground fault circuit interrupter, and it trips at 2 milliamps, which is that range where you can just feel that you have electrical sensation. So now we're going to talk to you about some of the devices on our system that protects our system from burning down to the ground. That being said, I also got to tell you that the protective devices on our system are not to protect human life. They are truly just to protect our infrastructure from having a chain reaction where it all burns up. So the device that we're going to show you right now is an oil circuit reclosure. Is an oil circuit reclosure. Those oil circuit reclosure is a semi-smart device. It has some intelligence. So what that device does is when there's a fault on the line, it's going to operate multiple times. and in between each time it takes a break to see if the fault went away. If the fault didn't go away, on about the 4th operation, it finally says, I'm going to open up, which it just did. That yellow handle on the side just came down into a down position. So when you call and you say my electricity's out, if it's fed by an oil circuit reclosure, we come out there, we verify that that handle is in the down position. We know we have problems downstream of it and start patrolling the line to see what our problem is. So Mark's gonna take that ground chain and he's gonna hook it to the bottom side of that fuse cutout. So that's making it dead short to ground, or a permanent fault, if you will. Now that fuse cutout, all it has is an element in there. When it sees a fault current run through it, or amps in the form of a fault, if you will, when it runs through that, it actually melts the fuse, and then that door is going to open, and we're going to show you what that looks like. And that's what happens when there's fault current ran through that fuse. A lot of people will call in and say my transformer blew up, but it's not actually the transformer. That's what the fuses sound like in the real world, real life. So usually we have to go out there. A bird might have got up there to make the fuse blow, or a tree branch might be up there. So we'll come out and see what the problem is and repair what needs to be repaired. We put a new fuse in that fused cutout door and then close it back in. So now we've talked about all this electrical safety stuff and showed you what could happen if you out there in the field, in the real world where you're at. This is our recommendation to you. If you see any electrical equipment that's not in the state that it's supposed to be in, whether it be an overhead line, if it's down on the ground, or a pole's broke, or a pad mount transformer that slid off of a pad, or even an opened electrical box or an electrical panel, we ask that you stay back. In case of emergencies, please call 911. No matter what county that you're living in that we serve, the 911 operators always know how to get a hold of us, and we'll come out there and make all the situations safe in a expedited manner as we can make it. Please look up while you're doing stuff around your property to make sure that you don't make contact to overhead power lines. And even if you think it's just a phone conductor that's down off of a pole or something, please don't touch it, because it could be wrapped up into the primary wire somewhere down the road. The last thing that we want to do is have any of our members or the general public get hurt on our system. We want everybody to be able to go to their little girl's wedding when she grows up and to play tea party or play baseball in the backyard with your sons and daughters. We want you guys to have a happy and healthy life, free of incidences and injuries from our electrical system. Please call our office if you find anything out there to be suspicious. And again, if you believe it's an emergency, please call 911. We thank you for watching our safety presentation, and we look forward to seeing you soon.